The Hot Wheels Stunt Track Driver Duology is a staple of my toddler years, being one of the earliest PC games I've ever played. I loved Hot Wheels as a kid. I wasn't like a Hot Wheels super freak, but I remember owning some of the toy tracks and cars, the latter of which I still own to this day. Truthfully, I haven't played many Hot Wheels video games. Besides the browser games on the Hot Wheels website back in the day, I remember playing Hot Wheels Micro Racers, which I thought it was underwhelming because of the low content it had. This year I played Stunt Track Challenge and replayed Hot Wheels Beat That, a game I remember owning on the PS2. Both games were developed by Simulogic Entertainment and published by Mattel Media and THQ, even though the latter aren't credited in the game itself. The first game, released in 1998 and at the time exclusively for the PC, was the second game in the Hot Wheels franchise to be released in 14 years, following the 1984 self-titled game, which was exclusively for the Commodore 64. Well, okay, the third game if you want to count the custom car designer game, which was released a year prior, but it's not much of a game if it doesn't let you use the car in action. Really, if I played this as a kid, I would be let down. After being greeted by a relaxing Mattel and Simulogic logo and then having your face blown by the Hot Wheels logo, the cutscene begins with a doorbell sound and an 18-wheeler with the Hot Wheels logo on the trailer outside the house. This should be interesting. The kid opens up the door and we see that he got a shit ton of Hot Wheels toys. It's never explained how he got all of that, but who cares? This is a kid's dream come true. The kid decides to use those small Hot Wheels tracks to build bigger Hot Wheels tracks like a freaking mad lad. After hours of hard work, we get a showcase of the tracks and this awesome house. It's all fun and games until your parents tell you it's time to take apart the tracks, which will take the same amount of time as putting them together. Really, if I did this as a kid, it would make my parents dismayed and annoyed. The main menu has 4 features: practice, build a track, championship mode, and a blue door that leads to an endless void. I'm kidding, it closes out the game. The game starts out with 4 out of 6 tracks and 3 out of 12 cars available. Championship mode will help unlock the 2 tracks and most of the cars by completing each track once. The rest you unlock by doing specific stunts, which I did first. I don't even need to use a guide because it's engraved in my head. The cars are based on real life Hot Wheels toy cars. Most of them have different stats, but all of them are beatable in championship mode, especially the Toe Jam. Hands down, the worst car in the game. Low speed, it doesn't do flips or barrel rolls for some reason, and not to mention it's the game's default car every time you start up the game. They could have chosen the game's mascot, but no, they went for this safety hazard. I also want to talk about this car for a second. It's got decent stats, but every time you're airborne, it slowly barrel rolls, which creates a sense of anxiety that you hope it doesn't roll over too much. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but I remember not playing this car a lot for that reason. Enough about the cars, let's sign up for the championship. The way it works is that you have to reach the end of the track before the timer runs out. Fail and you have to start all over. We start off on the living room / kitchen track. The game utilizes full motion video while you're controlling the sprite that is the car. That's genius because it gives off the imagination of us playing Hot Wheels toys. We torment the house cat even though it's on him because his rear end was on the track. We come across our first high jump, which is over the house stairs. There are many stunt variations you can do in the game. Flips, spins, barrel rolls, landing backwards, landing on 2 wheels, or any combination of those I listed. If you learn the stunt physics in this game enough, you'll be able to do this impossible trick.
Oh, baby, it's triple!
Doing stunts can help gain more speed and or points. Also, I'm using the mouse instead of the key arrows because it has great turning control. And also, I was using a different laptop at the time I was recording the footage and my up and down key wasn't working. It turns out the cat isn't the only pet in the house. A dog is barking at the car with encouragement. So much that it tries to chase us. We then drive to the kitchen where we jump some gaps like onto the kitchen table and over the goldfish bowl, driving under a math book, and headed back to the living room section where we...
You want to go one-on-one with me?
That's not good. After you complete a track, you get results on how long you beat it, how many points you scored, and how many times you crashed. If you manage to score over 50 points, which will signal that by the heart beating Hot Wheels logo, you'll get a fireworks show that resembles those screensavers from the old days of Windows. You think the parents will find out that we were the ones who destroyed the TV? Okay, the bedroom track is a fun one here. The kid's bedroom shows how much of a Hot Wheels fanboy he is. A Hot Wheels jacket, Hot Wheels curtains, a Hot Wheels trash can, a Hot Wheels mat, a Hot Wheels mag and binder, a big size Hot Wheels car, and even a Hot Wheels video game on the computer, which is actually Stunt Track Driver but with a different HUD. There's also other kid bedroom stuff like an airplane hanging on the ceiling, a train track underneath the bed, a baseball glove along with some trophies. I guess Hot Wheels isn't the only thing he enjoys. A beanbag in a bathroom? Bro, I envy this kid. Near the end of the level where we bounce on the bed, the car automatically flips and you have to lean the car back so it doesn't crash. Towards the end, we dodge some NPC drivers and a red ball until we jump off the track and land into the Hot Wheels trash can. Now I guess we have some work to do to pay off the broken TV. We are taking care of the plants at the greenhouse, which is the next track by the way. Now as someone who works at a plant nursery, I'm pretty sure greenhouses has high humidity levels. Do you think the kid has heard of something called mildew? Anyway, we get eaten by a Venus flytrap, thus completing this track and unlocking it. Things are getting spooky now as we head to the attic with a mouse infestation, with the cute house cat being the exterminator. At one part of the level we drive off track into this mouse hole where we ram into the cat's paw, causing the car to flip on its own and we have to control it, just like the bed bounce in the bedroom track. The mice are the least of our problems because something is spooky about that night armor because it tried to attack us. The music is spooky as well, but it later kicks in with a hard rock sound with a deep purple-ass organ solo. I forgot to mention that the soundtrack composed by Bill King is amazing and very well composed that they sound like actual songs. The living room track also has some good organ work. The bedroom track has some 80s hip hop elements with a cool synth solo. And the greenhouse track has a jungle tribe adventure atmosphere. Anyway, let's get out of here by jumping through the window and fall to our deaths. Appropriately, the next track takes place outside. I guess we're going to the beach judging by the surf rock music. Well, not really. It takes place in the Sandbox at the backyard. It may not be the beach, but it has this huge sandcastle, at least from the perspective of a toy car, because being small gives off the illusion of everything being big. Not only there's a sandcastle, there's also the house pets and hot air balloons, some of which has the Hot Wheels logo. This ought to be like a Hot Wheels Dreamland or something. We finished the track by jumping off into a bucket of sand, thus suffocating ourselves. Finally, we get to the other lock and last track of the championship, the man cave, which is the basement. This kid's family is really rich. There's a pool table, a poker table, some pinball machines, and an arcade machine that if you look closely, it has the game's main menu screen. The music on this track is very disco driven. This is the hardest track in championship mode, mainly because of how much time you're given. I lost a few times to the point I almost broke my foot by kicking my bed to let the rage out, but I finally completed it by jumping into a house of cards that the kid's dad worked really hard on.
Oh, knocked over my house of cards!
Now it may look like I unlocked everything, but there's actually a secret track that's also unlocked by completing championship. Based on my research, the developers added a secret track that even the publishers didn't know about. Players somehow discovered by going to practice mode and right-clicking the first T in the Mattel logo, a sci-fi-esque music track will play. After selecting your car, you get your first experience of what players call the space track, which is actually the inside of the developer's computer. It was intended to be either a snow track or a rock quarry track depending on the source, but it was never completed. Once the lights turned green, I clicked the mouse and my car crashed. The car crashes in this game are ridiculous. They look like they're flying away rather than rolling on the ground like a real car crash. Back to the secret track. There's a lot of track variety here. This claw machine, some buildings, this bridge, this cylinder loop, some tight turns, and probably my favorite, the highest jump in the game. We end the track by ramming into the dead-end wall. How badass. I gotta say, the developers had lots of fun with this one. Finally, the build a track mode is pretty self-explanatory. It takes place in the house garage where you take the leftover Hot Wheels tracks and build your own. You get to make and save 4 tracks, which is something. I remember liking this mode as a kid, but looking back now, the jumps feel underwhelming and the garage set looks boring, mainly because it's only a background and it doesn't have its own FMV and finisher. Before I move on, I want to talk about one more track that's not available on this game, but on a sampler game called Hot Wheels World Adventure. In 2002, Hot Wheels released a series of toy cars called the Planet Hot Wheels Energy. Each car would come with a sampler CD-ROM featuring promos or demos. Hot Wheels World Adventure was developed by the same company that made the original game and used the same engine. The demo features only one track that features the world set toys set in the same kitchen as the original game, but now it includes a back porch. It also features not one, but 2 playable cars on the same track. The most notable thing about this demo is that it features an announcer.
Before we start our adventure, let's stop at the tune-up shop for a lube job and chassis repair. Welcome to the Hot Wheels City Center. Hospital is on the top floor, police station is on the 3rd floor, and the service center is on the 2nd floor. Our last stop is the Hot Wheels car wash. Just the place for that sparkling clean finish.
It's crazy to believe this came out in 2002, 4 years after the original game's release. It makes me ask, why didn't they release this demo before the full game's release? Who knows? Before I talk about the sequel, I'll briefly talk about the Game Boy Color version of the game. It was released in 2000 and was developed by Lucky Chicken Games rather than Semi-Logic, who developed other masterpieces like Aquaman Battle for Atlantis. This version has less content than the PC version. There's no build-a-track and over half of the cars are cut. However, there is a 2-player mode which only works if you have 2 actual Game Boy Colors and 2 cartridges of the game. But I'm using an emulator, so I can't see that happening. The game starts out with 3 out of 6 tracks and 4 out of 5 cars. You unlock them all by completing tournament mode, which in here you're racing other cars instead of being the timer. This version is generous because if you lose a race, you get the option to play that race again instead of the whole tournament. This version is a 2D side-scroller because it's a Game Boy Color game. The tracks in chronological order includes the bedroom, the living room, the backyard, which is a snowy area. You remember I said the secret level in the PC version might have been a snow level? The game room, which is probably the basement, the kitchen, and the barn, which I'm guessing it's the greenhouse's replacement. The tracks are really easy if you memorize the whole layout. You can't do stunt combinations, and if you crash, your car explodes rather than fly away. Every time you win a race, you get a password you can punch in to resume where you left off. And if you beat the tournament, you get a password that unlocks everything because there's no save feature. I guess you would call this an on-the-road version of the game, but maybe bring along the GVC version of Donkey Kong Country in case you get bored after 20 minutes. I say stick with the PC version. By the way, did you know that in this version you could do flip rotations with the toe jam? Like tape me with duct tape and rip it off for real? The second game, released as Hot Wheels Stunt Truck Driver 2, Getting Dirty, was released on August 11, 2000 and exclusively for the PC. No handheld version would be made after this release. Even if they did, you think it could have been a superior sequel to the first handheld version of the series? I don't know. The game starts out with animations of the Mattel Interactive and Semi-Logic logos. Fun fact, did you know that Semi-Logic would later develop games for the Hyperscan? Yes, the same developers who made this childhood classic would later make games for a console that was supposed to combine video gaming and card collecting, but would end as a failure. What's even more wild is that the Hyperscan was manufactured by Mattel, the same media company that distributes Hot Wheels toys and games. Like, what were they smoking at the time? Then we watched the game's opener, which looks like a live action montage of the game's playable cars, but it's actually CGI. What you're watching is a massive upgrade from its predecessor's intro. The animator for the intro commented that the inspiration came from watching his favorite exports, like BMX and skateboarding, and that it was pretty challenging to create. So the main game itself must also be a massive upgrade, right? It's almost the same. The same 3 features, the gameplay is the same, the controls are the same number of levels, the results screen is almost the same, the fireworks celebration is back, the finishers are back. However, it doesn't mean that there's no improvements and no additions. If you click on the Getin Dirty logo, it features in-game credits, something that the first game doesn't have. Like, why do I feel like they made that as a hidden feature? Why not add it as another icon like the other 3? Just like the game's predecessor, you start off with 6 tracks but 2 locked, and you start off with 3 playable cars. The sequel is more outdoorsy and features mainly terrain tracks, while in the first game takes place in only one house and uses Hot Wheels toy tracks. The cars are more terrain oriented that have their own stats and also based on real Hot Wheels toys. One improvement this game has is that the roll cage is the default car every time you start the game, rather than a car that's ass. One cool thing is that they brought back the slide out from the first game. You unlock the other 9 cars by doing specific stunts. Here's the guide. There's also a 13th car in the game if you beat championship mode. So let's do that. We start off at Frogland, which is the pond near the house. The soundtrack in this sequel, which is also composed by Bill King, goes hard than its predecessor. The music for this track sounds like we're in some tropical paradise, at least for frogs. As you can see, the tracks are on rails, but the FMVs has an improved 24 frame rate cinematic-like animation, which makes it impossible for the treader to reach the end. Seriously, I tried so many times and I refused to mod its stats. The game also has 2 new additions, Hot Wheels tokens that act as speed boosters, and choosing different routes that only features in 3 tracks. The stunt physics are also another improvement, although the stunt controls are slippery. Some cars and the house pets from the first game make a cameo return. The cat is looking for some dinner, and there's a toe jam and speed blaster driving the track backwards. This track mostly consists of hairpin turns, which is why this track is memorable to me. I even drew a picture of the track's route when I was like 8 or 9. There are a lot of frogs here. You think the beautiful Ethel the frog might be here? We may never know, because one of the car catches us with its tongue and eats us alive. Up next is the garden. I remember being a little freaked out by both the crow and the scarecrow itself. One of the other things known about this track is that it has these jumps on the fence where we jump off one and land on the other like a vert skateboarder. The music is country rock that actually rocks. Anybody hungry? We got watermelon. We got other stuff. Next, we are going fishing at the creek. This is one of the locked tracks we have to complete. There's some cool wildlife here. Fish, a red lizard, a turtle, a daytime raccoon. There's a bounce in the canoe section where your car gains an extreme stunt boost, but I suggest you don't go overboard with that. As my car was about to land onto the mossy rocks, a fish comes out of the water and swallows it. You gotta listen to the balls to the wall synth solo in this song. It's time we go to the beach. For real this time. Let's play some funky surf rock. The beach is wildlife infested, but it's still amazing there. A Hot Wheels beach ball is bouncing around. There's a gazebo with a Hot Wheels wind chimes. You can't go anywhere without seeing anything with a Hot Wheels logo in that world. There's also a lot of crabs. One of them is really nice to point to the direction we need to go. And you can't have a beach level without a sandcastle. After I made a right turn away from the sea turtles, my car jumps and crash lands into somebody's hard work. The cave track is metal as fuck. Just like this song with some Joe Satriani-esque guitar work. There are two caves we are driving in. This cave, which is actually a live volcano where a frickin' dino skeleton is laying. Seriously, where does this kid live? We get two different routes. One route where we dodge some collapsing rocks caused by this gopher or mole or whatever. The other route is where we dodge this viper that tries to bite us. We exit out the cave and look, it's the dog from the first game cheering us on as always. We then enter another cave, unlike the first one where it's hot and fiery. This cave is wet and beautiful. It has a waterfall, some vines, and oh shit, is that treasure? Give me the treasure! Oh, dang it. Unfortunately, this cave is bat infested, so we need to get out of here in the most badass ways possible. And that's busting through the ground. Busting through the ground that's not an open hole. Finally, we are going to our hideout, which is the treehouse. The music in this level sounds like a hard version of the greenhouse track from the first game. There's not much I can say about this track other than we encounter a day owl and avoid some bird poop. The turning is very tight in this level, so especially you don't crash once. Well, even though I did, but I eventually made it through in one try, mainly because of the tokens. If you didn't know, not only do tokens give you boost, but it also gives you an additional second, which is nice. After landing into a pile of leaves, which I say is the weakest finisher of the game, we finally got our prize, the Radar Ranger, whose stats are all maxed out.
There's a nice variety of cars, but once you get the green one, the rest are useless, so what's the point?
As for the track builder, it's the same idea. You're able to create and save 4 tracks. Instead of toy tracks, you're placing dirt roads, bumps, or ramps, as well as some random obstacles like carrots or a tire loop on a grassy grid. This sequel did something really different with this feature. Unlike the first game where it's on rails as we are driving on a Hot Wheels toy track, I'm guessing the cars are remote controlled because we can freely drive around the grassy area surrounded by the other levels, especially this scarecrow who's watching us. So with the on rails gameplay removed, driving on flat land is not a problem, but can get bumpy on obstacles and landing stunts is tricky here. The graphics match the car sprite, but it's a little glitchy and buggy. During your drive, you get the optional choice of collecting the 10 yellow tokens that are either on the grass or on the obstacle you placed. One more thing I could say about the mode is that every time you crash your car, the crow's call sound would play, which is an odd development choice. So overall, both PC games are the same gameplay-wise and have almost the same amount of content, but despite that, they're both still fun to play to this day. You could try to get the best time record or score the most stunt points. However, because of the low content the games have, you will lose interest in them eventually. But I don't think the first game needs to have that much content. There's enough that will make an autistic kid all giddy. I will argue that if you're going to make a sequel to a game, at least have more tracks or even don't make it the same as the first game. Could you imagine what a third game would be like? Maybe it could take place in the big city, Hot Wheels themed. You're either driving in the sewers, a construction site, a park, a bridge, inside a skyscraper, or during slow and busy traffic hours. Yeah, that kid would be a maniac with his toys on the loose. You can download the games on either My Abandonware or on the Internet Archives if you're able to play it on modern PCs. One more thing, no, Hot Wheels Stunt Truck Challenge is not a spiritual successor. But if there's any game developer out there who can make a spiritual successor to the duologies, that'd be great. Anyways, now, Here comes the part where I build my own custom Hot Wheels track like in the first game, because it is possible. I have seen videos on YouTube. Only problem, I don't have the budget. So, let's improvise.
A few minutes later.
Okay, so I know it doesn't look like much, but I need to end the video somehow, so let me give you a rundown of my custom track. I start by entering my bedroom, where I make a hairpin right turn where I jump not only onto my desk but over this cute cat. I then make a hairpin left turn where I drop onto this part of the track, where I drop underneath my dresser, where I jump through under the handlebar of one of my weights that I hardly use. Then I make a left turn where I jump onto my bed. Please frickin' blur out. Then I make a very hard right turn where I jump onto one of my other desks. Check it out, Hot Wheels Stunt Track driver footage playing on my computer, just like that one part in the bedroom level. And finally, I drive straight to this jump where I land either into my SpongeBob mug or behind my bookshelf. So with all that shown, I'm gonna pick my car and I'm gonna finally drive this track. I guess I miscalculated that jump. Okay, I'm not James Rolfe. I did record more stuff for the outro skit, but it didn't turn out the way I wanted to while editing it. But how else am I supposed to end the video? Saying Hot Wheels rules? Hot Wheels rules!